Hey Bayside, Brandon Short here. And as our church begins to venture and journey through 1 Corinthians together, I got to be honest with you up front. 1 Corinthians is so humbling for me to read. It's humbling theologically. I mean, out the gate, Paul is talking about these huge banner, pillar ideas of what it means to be a Christian, what it looks like to follow Christ. The second way it's humbling is it's humbling to see what these people are struggling with in their communities and in their cities and even in their churches. It actually, 1 Corinthians, I say, kind of looks like a mirror. It kind of shines back to us some of the things that are going on in our world, communities, and churches today. But maybe the way that it's most humbling for me is it just hits me really personally. As I'm reading 1 Corinthians, even in chapter 1, I can't even get through the first chapter without feeling this, because 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26 says this: brothers and sisters, think of what you were when you were called. I love that. Brothers and sisters, think of what you were when you were called. You know, that verse kind of operates for me as a time capsule, a portal back to a different time. Back to when 14-year-old Brandon is at a house party one night after years of really painful rebellion. Years where my two best friends were drug dealers, and that's the crew that I ran in. Brandon at that time, who had taken 14 school suspensions in the past 3 years. And somehow in this moment that I'll never fully understand, God's kindness meets me outside of a house party. And I cried out and said, if you can love me where I am right now, then I'm in. I repent, and I'm all in to give all of me to all of you for all of life. But it was interesting. I read that as Paul's going through this beautiful description of wisdom and the foolishness of the cross to those who don't believe. And he's laying out all of these things. And he says, brothers and sisters, remember where you were, what you were when you were called. That's my application actually today. I want you, it's this beautiful, humbling moment, this wrestle with, this being able to see from a different vantage point where God has brought you from and what he has brought you to think back to where you were when you first met him. So that's my application for you and me as a church family today. Think about where you were and who you were when you met God. And see how far he's brought you. Maybe take a journal and write down these big turning point moments. But in the seasons that we're tempted to feel like our self-image is inflated, or maybe it's deflated, when we get tempted to see ourselves in wrong or different light than what God does, it's so valuable to remember where you were when perfect love said you're enough there. So today, dwell on those things. Pray about them, meditate on them, and then take them to God.